Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin with chapter 24, verse 39. We left off yesterday with the famous Rashi that when Eliezer is recounting the story to Rivka's family as to his mission, the Torah, when Eliezer says to Avram, well, what if the woman I find doesn't want to come with me? He says, Ulai, perhaps she won't want to come with me. And it's spelled, can other people hear me? Just nod, or you can hear me. Okay. Robert, I think it's on your end. Sorry. Okay, I think it's on your end. It's you. It's you. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so the ulai, so this thing, the Rashi says, this medrash that when Eliezer says maybe she won't want to come with me, it says ulai without a vav, and there's this whole idea that he was hoping that his own daughter would marry Yitzchak. So a very basic question to ask on this medrash, and the question that one could ask on this medrash is, or really not only on the medrash, on the Torah itself, why doesn't it spell it this way when it happens? When it happens, when the Torah is actually recounting the event as it's occurring, it's spelled with a vav. Only when Eliezer is recounting the story to Rivka's families, it's spelled without a vav. What's that about? So Kli Yakar on Pasuk Lametes. Kliyakar va'omar laduni ulai lo silecho yishoach haroi. Pirish Rashi elai chaser. Rashi cites the idea that it's written without a vav. Lefi Shabbos haisel Eliezer. The whole thing that Eliezer had a daughter. Makshim them. People ask on this. Lama lo nichtav ulai chaser anamar etzel sipur Eliezer im Avraham. Why doesn't it say ulai without a vav when the story occurs? Va'omer ani ilu kasav sham hayisi omer shelakach nichtav chaser ki omar Eliezer. Ulai lo sove, I'm sorry, Elai lo sove, Elai haino b'shvili, ki lo tirtza leilechim evet kamoni, ela im sarim v'nichbadim. Very interesting thought. The Kli Yakar says, if the Torah conveyed this thing about Elai to me when the story is occurring, we might totally misunderstand the message. We might say that what Eliezer is saying is, maybe she won't want to come with me. Maybe I'll find the right person, but she won't want to come with me because I'm some slave. Maybe she'll say, I'm going to go with dignified people, not just just a lowly employee. Aval achshav shenichtav chaser b'sipur Eliezer im lavanu b'suel ein mefarish kach. Now, when he's telling them, there's no way he's going to say to them, so there it was. I said to Avraham, they're not going to want to go with me. There's no way he would be saying that to the family that he's hoping will send their daughter. There's no way he would have said that. So it doesn't make any sense that would be his point. Anyway, why would he share with them? So I thought nobody was going to come. Why would you say that to Avram? Ella, this context, it's obvious what the Eli would be about. He's telling them, I just want you to know that I was really hoping I wouldn't find anybody because I have a daughter and I can't think of a nicer opportunity for her than marrying Yitzchak. He was saying this to get them a little bit worried. Because by just sort of saying this as an aside, it's sort of planting some seeds in the back of their mind. Oh, if we play hard to get, maybe he's going to walk. So that medrash is apparent if the Eli is here. Okay, I don't think we need to go through the rest, but just an interesting shot from the Kli Yakar. Okay, moving ahead to verse 46. So we're still in Eliezer recounting the story to Rivka's family. And she moved quickly. This is Eliezer telling the story. She moved quickly. She took down her jug. She said, drink, I'll also give your camels to drink. And I drank, and she gave my camels to drink too. And I asked her, And I said, who's your father? Vatomer bas Psuel Anochi, bas Psuel ben Nachor sheyodalo Muka. And she answered, I'm Psuel's daughter. Vasiman nesem ala pa, vatzmidim al yodeha. And I placed the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her hands. This is not the sequence, at least it's possibly not the sequence that the Torah originally recounted it in. If you remember, we were discussing this earlier in the week. Depends how you learn a certain pasuk, but it sounds like the pasuk is saying what it's happening, that he gave her the jewelry and then he asked, who's your father? Right? And we had all these explanations, it doesn't mean he gave her the jewelry. It means he got the jewelry ready. It means he saw that the jewelry fit her hands, whatever it is. But there was a pshat that he was so sure that that Hashem had answered Avram's prayers that it was just a formality to ask who her father was, or it's actually just an informational question, but it was already over. But here it's explicit in the pasuk that when Eliezer's telling them what happened, he first asked and then he gave the jewelry. Some Rishonim bring this pasuk as a proof of how to understand the earlier pasuk. That obviously it doesn't mean that he gave the jewelry first, because that's not what he says happened. But Rashi, for one, says actually he did give the jewelry first, but he didn't want to tell them that because he thought that they would think he was crazy. Right? In other words, the one basic piece of information that Avram said is it should be someone from the family, and he gave her the jewelry before even finding out from someone from the family. So they won't appreciate his confidence in God's kindness. So he flips the order just so they'll process it right. That's what Rashi says. It's an interesting Orach Chaim over here. Orach Chaim on pasuk Mem Zayin. V'eshalo safa sim shina lichshashas rama usam. The Orach Chaim says. Also, he says he flipped the order, that he did give the jewelry first, but he flips it because he knew who he was dealing with. He knew he wasn't dealing with easy people. Ki yomru shenasan hachafetzim kodem litzad ma sheshimashto ve'im nogim la'aviyah lozehiktim klu nasan al achash yada heyoseh bas besuah shrui liyitzchak nasan lo bechezkas tachshite kal chasan ve'im laviyas chus b'hem. This is it's an interesting pshat, but it's an amazing statement on, if you go with this pshat, on what Eliezer thought of, or Eliezer's assessment of Rivka's family. Question: why is he giving her this jewelry? Well, there are two theoretical reasons why he could be giving her this jewelry. One theoretical possibility is that it's thanks for giving him water. The other theoretical possibility is it's a gift for the proposal of marriage. Now, if it's thanks for giving him water, who should receive it? It's a common idea that if you give something to a child in a household, the parents can claim it. So the Orach Chaim says that Eliezer flipped the order because he was worried. His intent, of course, was not to give it to her as a thank you gift for the water. His intent was to give it to her because she's the one who's going to marry Yitzchak. And the reason he did it in this order is because he was so confident this was the case. But he figured that if he told them he gave her the jewelry before he asked their lineage, they would say, well, obviously that means the jewelry was a gift for the water, in which case it's not a marital gift, in which case it's thanks for service, in which case it goes to us. And if it's a marital gift, it goes to her. So that's why he flipped the order. Just a very interesting Orach Chaim. Okay, let's move on. Verse 49. So he's made his whole pitch. He's told his whole story. And now he says, V'ata, and now, Im yashchem osim chesed ve'emes es Adoni hagiduli. If you're going to do kindness and truth with my master, tell me. V'im lo, and if you're not going to do kindness and truth with my master, hagiduli, tell me. Ve'efneh al yamin o al smol, and I'll turn to the right or to the left. Obviously, what he's saying is, are you in or are you out? As one of my parents' grandchildren likes to say, yes or no. But in any event, what does he mean when he says chesed ve'emes? If you'll do for my master kindness and truth, what does that mean in this context? So interesting sforno over here. Sforno on pasuk mem tes. Im yashchem osim chesed. Sheketei lahafik ritzon Adoni tivatlu ritzonchem. Perhaps, in order to fulfill the will of my master, you nullify your own will. V'saskimu l'shloach es bitchem be'eretz merchak, and you'll agree to send your daughter off to a far land. In other words, are you ready to not be particular about where your daughter lives? The parent would rather their child marry and settle in their own neighborhood. So that's a chesed if you agree for your daughter to go with me and not say, well, if Yitzchak's going to marry her, she's going to have to stay here. That's a kindness. What's emes? Truth. If you think about the tremendous purpose and honor that will come to your daughter and to extension you by marrying into this distinguished family and playing such a vital role in world history. If you bring her into Avram's house, just an interesting shot. So chesed is if you'll be kind and allow me to take her along, as opposed to insisting that she stays and they live by you. And emes is not kindness. Emes is look yourself in the mirror, look at your daughter, understand this is the best thing you could do for her, that she marry into Avram's house. Just an interesting shot. This four-note. Okay. Jumping ahead to verse 62. So they agree, and Eliezer takes Rivka on the journey to go to the home of Yitzchak and Abraham, and they're on their way. Now they're about to meet up with Yitzchak. Verse 62. Now, obviously, Eliezer did not text Yitzchak and say we're on our way. It just happened that they sort of met up. Yitzchak ba mibo be'er lachai roi, and Yitzchak had been coming from the well of life seeing, Vuyoshev Beretz HaNegev, and he was living in the south. Be'er Lachai Roi, we've heard about this place, Be'er Lachai Roi, before. That is the place associated with Hagar after she and Yishmael left Avraham's home. What is the significance of her going to Be'er Lachai, of Yitzchak going to Be'er Lachai Roi? Why would he want to have anything to do with that place? Look at Rashi. First Rashi, Pasuk Samach Beis. Shehalach lahavi Hagar Avraham Aviv sheYisa'ena. Avraham marries someone at the end of this parsha. Avraham remarries at the end of this parsha. The woman is named Keturah. The Medrash says that he actually is marrying Hagar at this point, which maybe we'll talk about tomorrow. But Rashi, going with that Medrash, is saying that Yitzchak was on his way, had just come back from bringing Hagar from her home to come back to Avram. That's why he's coming from Be'er Lachai Roi, which is an amazing thing to think about. It doesn't seem to be a coincidence if someone is trying to find the shidduch for Yitzchak and he wants it all to go well. One of the best things Yitzchak can do to merit that everything go well for his own shidduch is to put forth effort for someone else in that regard. So Yitzchak is bringing Hagar to marry Avraham. A very interesting thing. God willing, we'll see a sporno on this tomorrow. So we discussed the Kli Yakar regarding why it would be that the Eli is only the second time around, not the first time around. We discussed the Or HaChaim and Rashi regarding Eliezer seemingly flipping the order of giving the jewelry and asking who Rivka's father was. We discussed the Sforno about Chesed V'Emes, and we discussed Rashi about why Yitzchak was coming from Be'er Lachai Roi.